on the One Network.
Brian.
I'm sorry, the Brian. We have the Brian.
With the capital T-H-E. Hello, everybody. A little under the weather today, but happy to be here nonetheless. It was a very nice weekend. And lots going on in the world, so I'm actually interested to hear from Dee.
Oh, I got a couple of goodies. I got a couple of goodies that happened today. Ooh. I was almost going to call Biggie and say, "Do you think we could go live, like just before the show?" And I could, but I didn't get the information together because I had to go play Lego.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's one of the. It's a mom thing. It's the priorities. It's bedtime. Before bedtime, you have to play Lego. So I didn't get all the information pulled up. Lisa is going to be joining us very, very soon. She will be with us shortly. But Brian, I have to tell you the two cool things that happened today. And tell everyone.
Let's hear it.
Well, apparently, one of the Air Force's satellites just kind of vaporized in the sky today. Yeah, it apparently, and the wording that goes with it here. Hold on, I've actually got the article up. I'm going to read you a couple of the cute little wording pieces in this. So yes, apparently this satellite.
Hold on a second. Did it run into a weather balloon?
It did not run into a weather balloon, so they say, but it did have a catastrophic event and produced 43 pieces of space debris. Now, what the interesting part is they make a big deal on Space News. If you go to spacenews.com, this is like the headlining story. So if you go to Space News, they tell you, actually, here, you know what? Here, guys, we're going to have some fun. Ha ha.
Share the screen, nice.
I'm going to screen share. Now, guys, sometimes this crashes. Biggie, let me know if I screw everything up by doing this. Here we go. Okay, so this is it. It's a 20-year-old military weather satellite. Of course, I did about an hour's worth of research, and this satellite just, they try to pass it off like it monitors like storm systems coming in and stuff. But it actually does a hell of a lot more than that when you start digging into science research studies that are using information that's come from this satellite. Like for the fact that it takes ELF readings and measures electron particle spikes and things like that. So, it's not just a weather satellite. So anyways, it had apparently a catastrophic event. Now, hold on. I got to find the line. This is so good.
The catastrophic event line is at the top.
It had Air Force Space Command said the power subsystem experienced a sudden spike in temperature followed by an unrecoverable loss of attitude control. And it broke into 43 pieces. 43, they know exactly how many pieces, and they're very carefully tracking each and every one of these pieces. So I'm gonna put my little, this is my opinion on this. The spike in heat would be caused by, for example, like a laser hitting it. And they're tracking the 43 pieces oh so carefully because obviously it has equipment on this satellite that they don't want anyone knowing is actually on it. So they need to recover those pieces really, really fast when they know where they're going to land. That's just my, but I'm a conspiracy theorist, so, you know, what do I know? I don't know anything. The fact that some of the studies I read about the information they're getting from the satellite, yeah.
I've heard about you crazy conspiracy nuts.
I know. I can't help myself, guys. You know that.
Good morning, everybody, or afternoon, evening, whatever the case may be. I'm sorry, I've had technical difficulties after technical difficulties. So, but I'm here. So,
we're glad you're here.
Nice to see you, sort of.
Sort of. Well,
so I was talking about satellite.
A little bit of news, and I just was telling them about the catastrophic event that one of the Air Force's weather satellites had.
Yes, but I was listening before I piped in.
Yeah, the other story is one that you're going to like. This came out of Australia, and Australia's talking about aerosol spraying aerial vaccines.
Hold on one second, real quick, Dee. Who would have fired, in your assumption, who would have fired, or estimation, who would have fired this laser?
I have no idea. I'm not going to even go there.
Okay.
I have no idea. Mum's the word. I know nothing.
Okay. What is the Air Force doing with weather satellites anyways? Is that standard operating protocol?
Well, that was kind of like they talk about, well, you know, this is a weather satellite that monitors weather for like the Air Force and the Navy before they send, you know, ships out and airplanes out and things like that. Like I said, the studies that I went through, and I looked at 20 different studies that are so bloody in depth that I could barely discern a lot of what they were talking about. But they're talking about raised particle protons before earthquake events, and they've got this information from this satellite. So this isn't just a weather satellite. When it can, you know, monitor ELFs and ULFs and things like that, it's not just a weather satellite.
Monitor or broadcast?
Well, that's my question. Is that the reason why they're tracking down these pieces, so all 43 pieces, so carefully? Is because, yeah, it's not just a monitor. Is it a broadcast station too?
Okay, you've got to backtrack, because I'm absolutely gobsmacked. Aerosol spraying vaccines.
Yeah. Hold on. Sorry, I've got so many. I have about 35 windows open at the moment.
I can see that.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, guys. You're gonna have to bear with me as I find. Is this it? No, it's not the neuropsy. Sorry, I was in several medical studies today, so oh, is that it? No. Is this it? Oh, this is part of it. Sorry, guys. I gotta find the one that's the actual article, and every time I scroll across the top, my drop-down menu falls down for Zoom.
You can move that. You move that drop-down thing. You can move it one way or the other.
Can I?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Okay, that's good. No, this is. Here we go. This is an excellent article, and I went digging on this one quite in depth for about 2 hours today. Australia to forcibly vaccinate population through aerosol spraying. Now, this is already being done in the States, but they're doing it for animals. Like they have a rabies vaccine that they've been spraying. The one thing that was interesting is I actually have this study too, and one of those multiple documents that I have on my computer that I forgot I had is let's see if I can pull.
Hang on, scroll down a bit. Scroll down, because it says what he's saying.
Hold on. Sorry, guys. I'm without my mouse because I've got my internet sticking, and we all know how bad my computer is without the mouse. Yes, the Office of Gene Technology Regulator is on its way to approve a license application from PaxVax Australia for the intentional release of a GMO vaccine consisting of live bacteria into the environment in Queensland, South Australia, West Australia, and Victoria.
And New South Wales, it just happens to sit, you know, pretty much in between Queensland and Victoria and touches on South Australia and is not going to be affected. It's not going to blow over or anything.
No. Well, why would it? It's an aerosol. They can name these things. I'm sure they can.
Yeah, sure.
It's seeking to approve and to conduct a clinical trial of genetically modified live bacterial vaccine against cholera. You know, it's really funny because, you know, I keep kind of on track of this stuff, and I really didn't realize that Australia had such a big cholera problem.
Yeah, not that I've heard.
Yeah, like not in 30 years, at least.
I mean, if they were going to apply for something like that, I would have thought they would be using something other than cholera as an excuse.
Well, that's why I was like,
that's just lame.
Like, come up with something a little more original, like cholera. Okay, if they were like doing cholera in Pakistan, then I'd go, okay, you know, they do have a bad cholera problem there. But like Australia, seriously? So, anyways, here's the document that I had hidden on my computer, which is a very, very heavily. Can you guys see this? Because I've flipped to a different screen.
Yeah.
This is from the Pentagon. And this is them talking about the recommendations for experiments. And it is about 30 pages of information about aerosol vaccines.
How old is this document?
Let's see. Well, I'm gonna upload all this onto removing the shackles as soon as I have a chance.
Okay.
Okay, so I will upload. I've already got this loaded up onto Scribd. I just haven't had a chance to get to it yet. Now, one of the interesting things that comes up in this, and you know me, I just got to dig for this stuff, is this patent. Oh, no, I got to move my pull down screen again. No, go away. Okay, I don't know what I just did, guys. I'm sorry. Is this it? Here we go. So one of the things that get mentioned in this Pentagon thing is this HCN1A line, which is human cortical neural cells that were taken from an 18-month-old baby girl when they basically lobotomized her. That's pretty much what it came down to.
That's what they call a hemispherectomy these days. Hemispherectomy.
Yeah. Which is a lobotomy.
But yeah, no.
It's, you know, they like to change these terminologies. So anyways, this is talking about neural markers, etc. And I haven't had a chance to really dig into this one yet, but it sent off a lot of red flags for me. If you're talking about these aerosol spraying from the Pentagon and they're talking about using like stuff that's like neural optic, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I've got a whole pile of different patents I've pulled up that use this stuff. So
hang on, let me just get this straight. They're talking about a aerosol vaccine for cholera, but it contains this.
Well, we don't know if it contains this. We don't.
Where's the mention of it?
It's in at the very bottom of the article. They mention the Pentagon paper.
Oh, okay. So they reference the paper.
Pentagon paper, which I happen to have a copy of. So I grabbed it out, reviewed it, uploaded it to Scribd, and that's where they're bringing up this stuff. Basically, I don't think they're really cross-referencing the cholera with the neural cortex stuff. I think that it's the aerial vaccine spraying. So now we already know that they have genetically modified mosquitoes. Now, the idea, of course, is to genetically modify them to not carry, West Nile virus. But, I mean, you can also genetically modify something to carry something as well.
Do you have headphones by chance? It's really screechy on your end. You don't.
I don't have headphones, love. I'm really sorry. And if I put on my headphones, I've only got one plug, so it means that you wouldn't be able to hear me.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm muting.
It's not D. Biggie says it's not me, so there. Oh my! Is it the birds in the background with you, Lisa?
Oh, it could be. I'm actually out in the bush, and I'm surrounded by. I just had 2 gorgeous kookaburras about 6 weeks from me, so it could
So
be.
the screeching you're hearing, Brian, is not horrible stuff. It's actually the birds.
It's actually wildlife.
It's actually wild. And I for one think it's lovely. So yeah. Anyways, those are the 2 things I've been digging into all day today. So
Well, the other thing that's been big, what's been big that's been coming to me, funnily enough, is the RV world. It is a buzz.
Oh yeah.
It is a buzz. So apparently things are further along than they've ever been before.
Oh yeah, like hugely.
How so?
Well, for the very first time, people even here in Australia are receiving their emails and their forms to fill in to validate themselves, their identity, and the validity of the currency that they're holding in terms of where they bought it from and all that sort of thing. That's never happened.
Okay, so where are they getting those from? Where are those forms being generated from?
I couldn't tell you that. I don't know. And I'm hearing second-hand news that people that I personally know are saying that people that they personally know have in fact cashed out. We're not just talking numbers on a screen anymore or stuff that they can't touch. They've actually cashed out.
We know for a fact that people are cashing out. It's the so-called whales.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information coming out right now. The 2 big things, okay, and I'll give you this, and so just so you know, Brian, this will give you an understanding maybe. One of the biggest things they've been waiting for is the reading of the 2015 budget for Iraq, because within their annual budget, they need an exchange rate. Like if you can't just base numbers on air, there has to be an exchange rate in there. So last Sunday, and so basically when anything is done officially in Iraq, whether it's passing a new law, anything like that, there's the official Iraq Gazette. And once something is passed, it is printed in the official Iraq Gazette, which is public notice to the public.
That's like they do in Morocco, right?
Exactly. So last Sunday, so like a week, 8 days ago, the first half of the budget was printed in the Gazette. We have confirmed. I've seen a hard copy of it myself. So absolutely 100% confirmed that it was read. The second half has not been put into the Gazette yet, although it may be in now. And I've got a call actually coming in from a buddy of mine who's just talking to someone in Iraq at the moment. And so if I have to jump off for a second, I may have to take a call, but we'll see. They haven't put the second half in the Gazette because the second half actually tells you what the rate is. So they can't publish that yet. Now, as of March 1st, as of today's Monday, Sunday, March 1st, they had new laws that were supposed to, trade laws that were supposed to be in place. Those trade laws are directly linked to the world, to the, oh, come on, Dani. The World Trade Organization. Thank you. Apparently my brain is just, I need more caffeine. That's what my problem is. The laws are directly related to trade as are stipulated by the World Trade Organization. To be a member of the World Trade Organization, you must have an internationally tradable currency. You cannot have a closed currency if you are in the World Trade Organization. The new tariffs were supposed to start today. And that's why I'm waiting for information right now from Iraq. If the tariffs started today, then that means, well, there is a rate. We already know that there's a rate. There's a rate on the back screens. The rate is, the last time I checked, $371, I believe. Although it fluctuates. It's been down to like 369 up to 383 or something, but 371 was the last number I got. Okay. The question is how they're going to move forward. We have a lot of shit being thrown around right now. And I am still not entirely certain that they will start out and actually do a proper revaluation to their at least starting level of Forex trading currency, or if they will unpeg and just let it start to float up. So we're going to have to wait and see on that one. I think.
What does either of those mean in terms of for the people outside of Iraq holding currency?
Okay, so for the people, if you're talking about if they unpeg, the number that I got, and this was, oh God, when did I do the currency special? That was January 30th. So the day or two before that, I was given the number that if they unpeg from the US dollar, the Iraqi dinar should shoot immediately up to being worth 30 cents American. Like almost instantaneously, pretty much as soon as they take that anchor off of it.
And then now?
Sorry?
What is it now?
It's $1 US buys, I believe, 1,165 dinar. So do the math. Even if it jumps to 30 cents US, it's a massive jump. Like, okay, now that would be just the initial, what it would immediately come up to. I've heard that it could even jump as high as 60 cents immediately as soon as the US peg is taken off of it. And then from there, it would start to climb. But that would not be, that 30 or 60 cents does not even remotely represent really their value. It would be a representation of just movement, that it is jumping up and going to start becoming more equal to what its value is. So the one thing I've been saying to everyone, basically like all my private friends and that, and saying, whatever it comes out at, if you've got like one 25,000 dinar note, just cash it in, just that. Like go exchange just one. Whatever you can get by with just for an interim, and then just wait. Because I'm pretty damn sure the price is going to go up. That's what happened with Kuwait, when Kuwait RV'd, and it went up at one point. It went up from like, I think it came out at about $5, and it went up to about $11 at one point. So with any of these, like I would say, just don't rush in and exchange everything you have. Give it at least a week to watch what's happening. That's my own personal advice. That's what I'm going to do.
But what about the talks that you and I have had over the last year or so about all of this, that the whole thing, if it does happen, it'll be short-lived, and then
well, absolutely. Now here's the thing. This is the interesting part, and a certain person that you and I know are playing Skype tag at the moment. We just are never online at the same time, it seems. So I have not been able to touch base with him.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten some information just recently that kind of ties in with some of the conversation that you and I and he had a few months back, that there are people in the background right now. There actually are, and whether you want to call them, I hate using the name like white knights because, ew, it's such a polluted name and so corrupting. Yeah. Okay, there are some good guys, a lot of good guys who are in the background who are just waiting, and they need certain things to go on. So, for example, in America, in the States, when the RV goes live and the new rates come out, there's going to be a massive amount of arrests. Just in the dinar world alone, there's going to be a massive amount of arrests.
These are people who have been putting out fake dinar and stuff.
Well, and fake dinar is not the problem. We have Iran to put out fake dinar. Sorry. In North Korea, apparently, too. But no. No, the problem is all these groups. You have a whole pile of these so-called groups. You have a whole pile of these so-called gurus who are out there deliberately giving out disinformation, lying to the people, talking about cash-in groups and special groups, and send us your dinar, and we'll have a paymaster pay you out. Okay, it is all a crock of shit, and I just keep for 2 years. I've been telling people this.
So you should be holding your dinar yourself in cash.
Yeah, it doesn't leave your little hand until you're standing in front of your personal banker at your bank, and you're giving it to him to put through the Delarue machine to check. And it goes to no one else's hands, and you do not take your eye off of it for even 5 seconds. And there is no middleman. There's no paymasters. Never mind this payment. Never mind the lawyers. Never mind the special group rates and all the rest of it.
Well, what about all these people who are in admiral groups and general lists and all that stuff?
General 64 group. I would really rather. I don't. You know what? I have a lot of people in the dinar world who hate me already, so I'm really not sure I want to talk on that subject.
No, seriously, because I've got people in there too. I know people in there.
Okay, I'm going to say some information here, and the only reason I'm going to give out this information is, number one, because the person I promised to never tell this information is now dead, so I really don't owe him anything, and it is, I think, very important, and I have hinted around the edges, and I've talked it in a couple of private Skype rooms. The General 64 group, Studley, who was actually a really good friend of mine, Pete and I were very, very good friends, and we used to talk intel almost every night of the week. It was set up, and they were given through the Chinese, and it was an oil credits deal, and the Chinese set up a deal with them and said, okay, we are willing to buy X amount of dinar. And they started pulling together what is now called the General 64 group. And the idea is to bring everyone together in one group to come up with this set amount of dinar that the Chinese, Madame Wu, wanted to buy. Okay? And what happened is they got greedy. And they tried to play a power game. And they tried to say, and guys, I don't remember what the exact numbers were. I had this conversation with Pete like 3 years ago. So I don't remember what the exact numbers are. But if they were told that China wanted to buy, let's say, 50 billion dinar, the organizers of the group came back and said, yeah, well, we've got 100 billion. And again, I'm just making up numbers off the top of my head just to illustrate this. We've got 100 billion, and you're going to take it. And we now have, and I think there was even a limit on the amount of people that could be involved. I think there was only supposed to be like 150 people or something originally involved in the group. And they were basically like, okay, we've got like 600 people, and we have like 100 billion dinar, and you're going to do this. And China basically said, yeah, no. That's not the deal. The deal on the table was for X amount and this many people. And they tried to play hardball, and they got fucked. So, to the best of my knowledge, they have never found another oil credit buyer for the General 64 group. So, to the best of my knowledge, there is going to be no special rate for the General 64 group. And I do believe that.
So they may well still be able to cash out, but not at any
cash out. Oh, but they'll get the street rate just like everyone else. It's an internationally released street rate. And now you were going to see there's going to be some playroom. Banks are given a high and a low on what they will buy and sell for. And if you come in, and let's say you have, for example, for a while there, back 2.5 years ago, I had a Canadian group put together. And there was about 40 of us. And we were negotiating with a specific bank, with a specific wealth manager that when it went live, we would all come to him and he would give us his best rate. And if you're talking in the millions of dinar, 1% makes a big fucking difference. Okay, but this is the big difference. You can go in, and the more dinar you have, and like I say, if you get together with a group and perhaps go in with like your family and your friends and say, okay, there's 10 of us, and it represents a total of X amount, what's the best rate you will give us? You will have banks who will absolutely come to the table and will absolutely negotiate with you for that 1 to 2, maybe 3%. There is not going to be these massive, massive special rates. The other thing I want to talk about, because this is another, now there was a guy who did a call last week. It was a dinar call, and the guy's name was Fisher. And actually, I never listened to these calls.
I had it Skype to me too, and I didn't listen to it either.
Oh, sure. No, I have way too much research of my own to do to spend hours listening to these calls. But I got 3 different people who I really trust said to me, you have to listen to this call. So I went and I listened to the playback, and I listened to this guy, Fisher, and this guy was dead on accurate. A lot of shit that he went into was shit that I was told by my #1 Pentagon guy 3 years ago. Like almost word for word. So I was like, okay, I'm really, really impressed. The only thing I disagreed with him on majorly was he talked about the General 64 group was going to go ahead and the Admirals group. Now, like I said, maybe General 64 group has lined something else out. I don't know.
Well, I think some of the people that I was talking about in Australia, the people that I was talking about in Australia who have received forms are in those groups.
Okay, well, here's the thing. One of the other groups that's talked about a lot is called the Admirals group. And oh my God, for 3 years of hearing nothing but the Admiral's going in, the Admiral's not going in, the Admiral went in, and literally. And there's a whole bunch of people, gurus, semi-gurus, intel people in that whole genre, who've made a lot of statements, especially in the last 2 years, like, we can get you into the Admiral group. Oh, no. I can get you into the Admirals group. No problem. Okay. So the Admirals group is a closed group. The Admirals group was closed over 2 years ago. The Admirals group has, I believe, less than 300 people in it. And most of those people are, well, they're not you and I. Let's put it that way. So I know a lot of people in the whole dinar world who have a lot of fucking dinar, and I do not know a single person who is actually in the Admirals group, the real one.
So there's an Admirals and there's an Admiral 64.
No, there's General 64. General 64 is the big one. They've got, like, I think tens of thousands of members now.
Uh-huh.
And then there's this Admirals group, which is a group that's supposed to be going through Reno. And anyone who's been told they've been added to the Admirals group in the last 2 years, you were lied to. Because the Admirals group is closed, and I know that for an absolute fact. And I've known it for 2 years. And I've been trying to tell people for 2 years. If anyone tells you they can get you into the Admirals group, they're lying. There's no one getting into the Admirals group. It's a closed group.
But are these people holding your own dinar, or have they handed it over to someone who says it's in the group?
Some of them have handed it over. In the Admirals group, there's been a lot of SKRs issued. But again, these aren't the general public. These are whales, high players. And they have SKRs because they've already turned it into the bank. The bank's already authenticated it. They've already verified it. And they've been given a safekeeping receipt, which shows that Joe Blow turned in this many million dinar on this date. It's in this numbered account, blah, 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 blah. But yes, there are people who are cashing out. And we know for a fact there are people who have cashed out, beyond the government guys who cashed out fucking a year ago.
Well, that was my next question. What about the? I mean, we know the U.S. government, the Australian government, they're all holding, billions.
Yeah.
Would they have cashed out already?
Well, they can. That's a good question, and it's actually. I have a contact, but I'm loath to use it. It's one of those. It's kind of like a one-shot deal. If I call it in right now, it's highly unlikely I'll be able to use that one again. So I'm kind of holding off. I do have a direct access into a government, not one of the biggies, one of the small governments, who had already told me that his government was told by the IMF and the BIS to go buy as much Iraqi dinar as they possibly could, and to basically convert a lot of their holdings into dinar. I would like to be able to make that call, but it's like I say, it's a one-shot deal. If I use it now, it's probably good and gone, and I'm not going to be able to call that one in again. So I'm kind of loath to make that call and find out if the countries have cashed in. I don't think they have. I don't think that they have, which is why we're seeing all the massive problems financially globally at the moment.
I mean, Australia must be doing it tough because we now have, I'll just give you an example of how pathetic it's getting. Train inspectors, ticket inspectors on trains who walk around now armed with FPOS machines.
With what?
With their FPOS machines. It's an instant fine if you're found on a train without a ticket, and they expect you to pay right there and right then with an FPOS machine.
Well, that's lovely. You just muted yourself, Lisa.
I know, because the birds were going crazy. But that's how bad it is. It's like, we're desperate. We need your money and we need it now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is traffic tickets. All of this stuff is all we all know. It's they've got a quota. You've got to give out X many tickets today because we need to make some damn money to support our, police department, our whatever it is. So I don't find that very shocking, to tell you the honest truth, although it is kind of pathetic.
And we just need to make apologies for Brian, who had to leave. He's suffering with Bali Belly, so he's not well, poor boy.
No, he's kind of a lie down.
So, what's the next thing that people could expect to hear when it comes to the RV? What would be the next bit of news that says, yes, this is moving forward?
Well,
and it's not just another, okay, it's next Tuesday kind of deal.
It's just going to pop. I honestly don't think you're going to get any specific warning. There's always people who are like, it's going to happen Sunday, it's going to happen this Tuesday, and they've got 2 hours from this time to do this. And I don't think we're really going to see. I think it will just pop, and it'll be one of those things where it's just going to just boom, it'll be there. The rate will go live. Now, like I said, if they read the second half of the Iraq budget into the Gazette, I haven't had a chance to check today, so I got caught up in all this other research stuff, so I haven't had a chance to check. But if they get into that with the Gazette, that should tell us. And there's certain things one of the things I was told by a good friend of mine was, there are certain things that she was told to look for. And so far, every one of those things has happened. And some of them were really the kind of thing that has nothing to do with, perceived to do with Iraq or dinar, but she was told to look for specific things, and all the things she was told to look for have indeed already happened. So there's a lot of interesting stuff playing out. Like I said, I got some other intel of the kind that I can't discuss on the radio. You were there for that call, and I'm digging into that as best I can. which is difficult because of the kind of intel it is. It's not something you can just, say, hey, I need you to go research this, because that's not going to be good. I honestly think that plays into it. Now, I mean, like I said, so we're talking about arrests. Now, we've already seen weird shit happening in Washington, D.C. This shit with the CIA. And regardless of how people want to say, oh, it didn't happen.
What stuff? What stuff?
Well, when the CIA went into lockdown, was it 3 weeks ago? For 3 days, the CIA was in complete lockdown, as in there were pictures on the internet showing that there was like crime scene tape cordoning off the front and back entrance to the CIA in Langley. That did happen. 100%, I have huge confirmation on the fact that did happen. Something very, very big went down there. I also know...
There's no details on what?
Well, there's all kinds of stuff. I mean, Fulford came out and talked about this, that, and the other, and other people are coming out and say, I do not have any details, but putting 2 and 2 together with other information I was given a couple of months before then about what was moved into the underground caverns underneath Langley, I do not doubt it even slightly. I know that something big went down. I had a good friend of mine who is a munitions specialist watch the video of the supposed oil train derailment that happened that same weekend right outside. Oil train derailment. And he said it's not even a doubt that was not an explosion because an oil train derailed. That was a seriously heavy piece of munitions going off. So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely some serious shit going on. Like I said, I've also been told that, all these guys are going to be arrested, including the double dippers in Congress and the senators in the states who double dipped. Now, I mean, I talked about that 2.5 years ago, because 2.5 years ago, I had sources who'd already said to me, yeah, this one, and this one are already wearing ankle bracelets with tracking devices. And this one, and this one are going to get nailed. And one of the big ones that are going to get a lot of these highfalutin guys with is double dipping. That they were told when they cashed out a year ago and got cash. Now, some of them lower down on the totem pole, so to speak, got frozen bank accounts. They didn't actually get cash. But regardless, the guys who did get their dinar turned in for something, it was in their agreements that they couldn't double dip, and a lot of them turned around and did anyway, and they're all going to get nailed for it. So, yeah, it could get really, really interesting really, really soon. And for me, it's the distraction.
Public?
Whoa, say that again.
Can you hear me?
Oh, you're breaking up really, really bad, Lisa.
I don't know why.
Optimus Prime, give us Lisa back, please. I can hear her banging on a keyboard. Like, damn it!
No, that's not really banging on the keyboard. Can you?
Oh my, Lisa, we can't understand a word. You sound like Optimus Prime on acid, actually. That was seriously weird. Biggie just said, get out and then log back in again. Is that you?
Hello.
Oh, that's better. Hey, look, Lisa's back. Can you hear us? Oh, this is going to be one of those. Okay, hold on. Can she?
What's going on now?
You're going to have to log out and log back in. Or she can't hear me, which is just hysterical. And I do not have control of the call, so I can't even.
Apparently, I need to go out and log back in.
Okay. So, yeah, basically, as I sit here and talk to myself now, hi everyone, I'm just going to sit here and talk to myself because I've lost everyone else. So yeah, basically it boils down, there's a lot of stuff going on. And it's funny, I was actually going to do a special report on the dinar, and look, the round table turned into my special report on the dinar. That's funny. Biggie, I may have to isolate the video and put that out as my special report. Regardless of what everyone is seeing, the intel that I've been getting and what I've had for a long, long time is that there are people in the background, that there are good guys. And yes, as I've always said, I honestly do think that we're going to see, this is going to be, when this all goes out, there's going to be a shitstorm. And there will be a huge amount of mess probably. But I do know, let's say I'm 95% sure, maybe closer to maybe like 98% sure, that there are some good guys who are actually waiting, and not just, you know, in one place, but there's a whole pile of them all over the planet, who are just waiting. And they're waiting for the moment, because sometimes you have to let something completely crash and burn before you can start rebuilding again. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. I found out just a couple of days ago that someone who I thought was dead, because we hadn't heard from him so long, is in fact alive and well. And he is one of those good guys. So, hey, look, it's Elisa. Nope, it's not Elisa. She's gone. That was it. That's all you get.
That's all you get. How do I sound?
You sound much better now, darling.
Good.
I'm just going to finish the comments I was making. So, for me, getting that one tiny little piece was a huge affirmation.
I obviously missed what that tiny little piece was.
Just, I found out 2 days ago that someone who I had thought was dead is actually not dead. And it was someone who I thought had been taken out, because I hadn't heard from him in, oh God, well over a year, 16 months.
What kind of someone?
I'm not going to get into that, love. Sorry.
Okay.
Someone, like I said, who is one of the good guys. And he is someone who was giving me information 3 and 4 years ago about what to expect and what's going on. So it was one of those moments for me where you kind of have, all of a sudden, a lot of the stress kind of lifts off you in a way and goes, oh, thank God. Okay, you know what? I actually feel a lot better about how everything's going to roll out now, just with that one teeny tiny little piece that means really nothing in the greater scheme to everyone else. But for me, it's like an affirmation of, yeah, you know what? This actually is going forward, and the good guys are standing there, and they are just waiting. Just waiting. So it's a matter of now waiting and seeing how it rolls out. It will be soon, though. I'll tell you that much. It has to be soon, because no one has anything left. And the U.S. government is as bad as anyone else, if not worse. And they now have everything tied into this. So they have, it has to go through. We'll see. We've watched it get stopped before. It has been stopped before. Like, there have been times, everyone likes to make fun of the fact of, you know, Brian is prime. Brian takes the piss out of me about this shit, and has done for years. When people like myself and others have said it's about to go, it's about to go, and then all of a sudden it doesn't. And then we're about 2, 3 weeks later, sometimes it's a couple months later that you find out what happened and why it didn't go. And you go, oh. So is the best I know, I mean, the control aspect for the US, at least as far as certain things go, has been taken care of. So we'll see. That's all I know for right now.
I'm just making myself a coffee, which is why I muted, because I didn't want to drain you out with milk steaming.
You're steaming milk.
It's steaming milk.
It's a little late for coffee. Even for me, it's 10 o'clock at night. Coffee is like, I want some, but yeah, I'm just stay away from it.
Okay, before we move on, is there anything else that you think needs to be said on this subject?
Yeah, it's my number one rule. Just don't be greedy and don't be stupid. Don't give your dinar to anyone, and just don't be greedy with it. There's so many people who get themselves wrapped up into this. I'm going to get $10. I'm going to get $14. I'm going to get hell $21, $36. It gets completely ridiculous. You paid $1 to 1,160 dinar. That's what you paid. If it goes to 1 for 1, you are going to make a shitload of money. Don't be fucking greedy. Oh, okay. Here's another thing. Actually, this is actually really, really important. This just came up yesterday. A lot of people in the States, especially, because I don't know how it works in other places. I know in Canada we can't do layaways with these dinar dealers. I don't know what it's like in Australia. But all the Americans who have been doing these money, place an order for X many million dinar, and you've got that 5-day window to get them the check, and they hold your order for 5 days, and then if they don't get your check, they just cancel the order. And you have people who've been for years been doing this. Like literally every 5 days, they let the order lapse, and then they place another order. There is, in my personal opinion, and I've been saying this again for 2 years, there is very little chance that people who are doing that will get their reserves. Very little chance. Because they're already changing the rules. I had a friend of mine called up Sterling, I think. Sterling or Dinar Inc., I can't remember which one. And he talked to one of the upper management about this, and the upper management denied that they even offered that service. And it's like, really? He was like, yes, this guy was actually belligerent and denied, and then accused the person who called him, said, if that's what you're doing, then you're using the system, and you better not tell me your name, because if I find out what your name is, I will get you on the banned list because you are abusing the whole reserve system. So I strongly suggest to people, if you are putting all your eggs in that one basket of holding reserves for like ridiculous amounts, like 50 million dinar and 100 million dinar, these guys have got a limited amount of dinar. And I can tell you, with no real knowledge, I can guarantee to you that these guys do not have on hand physical enough dinar to fill all the reserve orders that they have. I would bet my last shiny dinar on it. Okay, so if everyone is making all these plans thinking they're going to get all these reserves, I think you're going to end up being shit out of luck. The one thing, and I actually said this about 2.5 years ago, if you can manage it and you can put in a reserve order for 1 million dinar and put it on a layaway and pay the weekly amount on it. If you've at least put even a couple of payments on it, and it's just a small reserve, you will probably get your reserve. But if you've got a reserve order for like $75 billion dinar, and you think that you're going to get that, you are going to be very thoroughly disappointed.
What about all the other currencies, though? Do they all go at once? You know, I mean, the RV doesn't just, it's not just the Iraqi dinar, it's the dong, it's the...
Yeah, and that is the very interesting things, because things have changed. 2 years ago, there was a set basket, and those certain currencies in that set basket, and that basket included the dinar, the dong, and the Zimbabwe, and the rupiah. They were all to go at once. Well, things have changed now, and that's because it has been so fucked over so many times now. This was supposed to have gone in February of 2013. It was absolutely supposed to have gone in June of 2014. I know that for a fact. And the US fucked it up by lying about what assets they actually had to back their currency. And they got caught. And it stopped everything. And then they did it again in the end of August, because apparently they don't learn their lessons very well. So things have changed now. And I've heard all kinds of different theories about how it's going to come out. I do not think that you are going to see the whole global currency revaluation happen all at once. I have a feeling that we may see just the dinar come out first. Or it might be just a very small basket of currencies that comes out first, and then it might click in increments of what the next baskets will be that come out. I honestly don't know, and I don't think anyone really knows, because of the ginormous screwed up mess of all of this right now. I know that the original plans are all out the window.
To me, doing it in stages is just going to encourage more and more corruption, because all the people who cash out with the dinar, for example, will then turn around and buy up as much dong and create the same sort of bullshit and lies and groups and what have you with that currency, and they'll just keep moving through, won't they?
Well, I mean, yes and no. Here's the thing. First of all, you're not going to have it to the point of like creating groups, because they aren't going to have that much time. When I say there's going to be a certain amount of time between them, I'm talking like a couple of weeks. So it's not going to be a matter of someone's going to be able to start pulling this all together, and you may find that the dinar and the dong do go together. I honestly think they will have to put it out together, just because they know that anyone who's got dong has dinar and vice versa. And if one goes before the other, the first thing those people are going to do is turn around and buy the other one. Now, having said that, it's a currency exchange. Pure and simple. And when you look at the logistics, the amount of people who know versus the rest of the population of the world who don't know, we're talking the people who know is being, I don't know, less than 1/100th%. Do they really care? I'm not even sure that they actually even really care, to tell you the honest truth. But we don't know. That's what it could be. Pure and simple. I wish I had an absolute answer on that one. I think logistically, it just seems to me, it makes logic sense to me that they're going to put the dinar and the dong out at the same time. But that's just my instincts. That's just me saying logically, I can't see them separated.
It makes more logical sense to me too, to do it at the same time. Are we seeing any movement in Vietnam to suggest that might be the case, though?
I haven't been keeping track, and I have just no contacts in that area anymore.
Okay. I
have no contacts in that area anymore. I did a couple of years ago. Now I have zero contacts in Southeast Asia in the financial sector. So I just don't know. There's been a few interesting news articles about Vietnam in the media in the last 6 months, talking about how their economy is getting really strong, and this, that, and the other. But really, no, there hasn't been that much that I've been paying attention to.
Okay. All right. Moving on then from RV World. So what have we got so far? We've got aerosol vaccines in Australia. We've got, what was the first thing you talked about?
The satellite.
The satellite?
The U.S. Air Force satellite that decided to just, break up. It overheated, somehow got really, really, really hot, and then broke into 43 pieces, which they're tracking super closely.
Someone shot that thing out of the sky.
That's what I said. I think it's a laser. I don't know. I mean, that was just the first thing that came to my mind was like, oh, someone's shooting lasers at satellites. Oh, is that a test? We want to do older weather satellites? Weather satellites? I don't know.
Okay, so I've actually been offline for most of the last week. I've been bush. I've been walkabout.
You can walk about.
I went walkabout. And so in terms of what's been going on the global scene, in the world of the one people, I'm a little bit out of the loop. So, but that's the one thing that did come through loud and clear was all the stuff with the RV.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But the other thing that is, and it's horrific to look at, I know, but it does seem that people are giving it the attention it needs. There's 2 kids from the UK that came out from Hampstead Heath to talk about what's going on over there.
Yeah.
And this has been building and building and building over the course of, say, the last, I don't know, just towards the end of last year.
Yeah.
That it was like this was the last bastion of darkness to have the light shone on.
Yeah.
The pedophilia, the ritual sacrifice, all of that. And there was that, anything on that nude guy that jumped out of the Buckingham Palace. I mean,
oh yeah. That happened Saturday. The video happened on Saturday. Or that's when the video was posted, was Saturday, of the guy climbing out the sheet rope, tied together with the sheets, like, damsel in distress, the naked man climbing out of Buckingham Palace. And I posted the article. I talked about it on Conspicuous News last night that basically Buckingham Palace said they did not wish to comment.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. And then, of course, the whole article went into the fact that it's all a hoax. It was all a hoax. That's what it was. But Buckingham Palace said, we do not wish to comment. Like,
and that's it? There's no follow-up? No one knows who this guy is? If he fell, because he fell, is he okay?
He had to have fallen a good 20 feet, it looked like. I have no idea.
And that's it. Buckingham just says, we don't want to talk about it. So nothing gets questioned, nothing?
Well, no, it's a hoax. That's what the newspaper said. It's all a hoax. Just an internet hoax. So, yeah. And I know, because that was the first thing, that whole thing with the Hampstead stuff and the naked male. God, no, I couldn't tell how old he was. I mean, obviously not a child, but, I mean, no idea how old he actually was. Climbing out the window. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if someone was caught escaping from my place naked and falling 20 feet, I'm pretty sure the cops would probably want to know. Ask me a question or two.
You'd think. But, you're not the Queen of England. So, I don't know. She's special.
So I know that they've got those kids, those Hampstead kids, to publicly now deny what they said. But no one's buying it because it was after 2 weeks being spent back in custody, essentially, with the people that they've named as the perpetrators. The UK pedophilia situation is really hitting the news over there. Yeah, it is. And it's been coming out of the UK in particular, actually, for the last few years, and Ireland and Wales, those areas, the whole UK area just seems to be rife. And bit by bit, the exposure's been happening. But I still haven't been able to bring myself to watch their testimony.
I can't.
I can't do it. I'm hearing what they're saying. Like people who have watched it have told me, quoted lines out of it, telling me the bits and pieces, and I'm just like, okay, that's enough for now. That's enough for now.
I can't even do that. I can't even do that. I got contacted by a mutual friend of ours asking me some questions about it, and I was like, I can't watch it. I can't. I literally, it comes up in news feeds and that, and I just shut it down. It's just I just can't. It's like I have got so much that I'm dealing with at the moment. I can't open myself up emotionally to dealing with that.
Well, I mean, Mel V put out a call, and I shared that. The idea is brilliant. So can
you run through it and explain it to people? Because I know they're trying to get a website built to really push this out, but I think this is one of the most brilliant ideas to bring awareness I have ever heard.
Okay, I'm just going to find it. I'll go to Mel's Facebook page. I can find it there. Biggie, if you've got a more direct link to something, that would be great.
He says they're working on it.
No link here. Okay, because I've got to scroll through her Facebook page. Okay, it's a public. Here I got it. Public appeal, and I should be able to click on.
You should be able to click on.
Public appeal to all living in London. Following on from the recent anonymous disclosure of the atrocities happening in Hampstead, and no doubt many other places, we are seeking people to coordinate a mass toy flash mob on Hampstead Heath. A specific day will be chosen, and all you are required to do is take any broken dolls or old children's toys, preferably not electronic toys and board games, to Parliament Hill on Hampstead Heath and deposit them there in a peaceful way. The entire day will be broadcast live on CCN, and we hope to attract people from all over to show solidarity for the victims of cult ritual abuse who are speaking out. A date will be forthcoming once a team of volunteers are assembled. If you live in London and can help out, please get in touch. Email ccn@unseen.is. More details will be forthcoming on how the international communities living outside London can help. And it is a brilliant idea. Because, you know, protesting, gathering, these things generally turn nasty, but something like this will touch people's hearts, get them asking questions. There's no reason for any conflict or agitation to happen. Okay,
I have
working on the website.
And Biggie, if you have Mel there listening with you too, I have 2 suggestions. Number 1 is to maybe take some of the load off, because Mel and Biggie are unbelievably freaking busy. Is if someone would volunteer to create a website to coordinate this. We need some volunteers to coordinate. We need some volunteers to say, I can put the time in, and I mean, I'm sorry, because, you know, I'm bitchy about this, but really put the time in, not just say you can and then disappear. People who can put the time in and can actually coordinate this. Organize volunteers, organize a website. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a flashy website. If it was just a blogger account, like a free blogger account or something like that, something that could be, and I get that. Biggie's just saying they want to make sure that they have control of the website. Absolutely, I get that. But if you can have someone who can even just set it up for you guys, and then you can put the content in yourself, it just takes some of the pressure off. The other thing that I have, and I think this would actually, it's, yes, the people in London, obviously those in Hampstead Heath, obviously. But you know what? This story has touched people all over the world. So,
but it's happening all over the world.
Exactly.
This needs to be a globally coordinated effort where we move on the government buildings or
every single country in the world has a British embassy. So on that day, wherever you are, go find the British embassy and arrange, coordinate, and just go take your broken toys, whether you're in fucking America or Armenia or Australia, take your British toys to the closest British consulate or embassy. And that way everyone in the world can partake. I'm sure that everyone can find a British consulate that's somewhat close to them. And I think that is something that we could do. I think that is something that could be coordinated. And if we just have dates and times up, and we can.
Biggie's saying this really does need to be done right. And so, if you are in a position to want to and can put some time into helping them coordinate this, I'm going to put the email address in the chat room there, ccn@unseen.is. Please get in touch with them and help coordinate this, because it has to be done now. It's time.
I agree. I completely agree, and I think it needs to be global. It's not just about Hampstead Heath anymore. That is the trigger, but this is something that is global. It is everywhere. So let's make an example of it. The trigger's been given, then it's time to pull the trigger and use that.
There's also a petition to get these kids returned to their mother, who I believe has had to flee the country because they were coming after her.
Yeah.
And her lawyer.
Yep. Absolutely. I've actually been meaning to post it all out on removing the shackles, like pull all the pieces together. And again, like I said, every time it scrolls up, whether it's on Facebook or in the various rooms, my chest tightens and my guts knot up, and I just like,
Mm-hmm. I know. But so Biggie, Mel, hopefully you'll get some contacts out of that, and people prepared to put some. It doesn't take much, guys. If there's enough of us, it doesn't take much to pull something like this together.
No, it doesn't take much. It doesn't have to be convoluted, but it does have to be organized.
Yeah, it does. That's one of the things we've got to keep remembering is I don't want to, the us and them game, but they're organized, and we have to be equally organized.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I hear you.
Now, I'm changing subjects again.
Good, thank you.
Because I think we've said enough about that one right now, but also this is something I've been giving a lot of thought to. And it was triggered by a conversation I had recently where I remembered a previous conversation that I'd had back in probably 2010 with some Zeitgeist movement guys.
Uh-huh. And
I'm not saying that this is necessarily how everybody in the Zeitgeist movement feels. This might just be these two particular individuals. But so we were having a discussion, and when the talk got around to corporations, and they just want to take them all out. And at the time, and I think it still is to some degree, my thoughts and what I expressed was that as they are, corporations work very, very efficiently for the most part, in their structure. And that
did we lose Lisa, or did we lose me? Lisa, you there?
Hang on, can you hear me?
Uh-oh. And you just went robotic again on us. I don't know if the birds might be going, Optimus, yes. Optimus, come back to us.
Can you hear me?
Going nuts.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, love. We could hear her for a second anyway. It was a nice try. Lisa, are you there? We heard you for a second. she just says, I will be back. Oh, here I am, all alone again. Okay, well, you know what? What else do we have to talk about in the interim? We'll wait for Lisa to get back. Couple of interesting things have just come up. We're going to go back to financial stuff because it's what I do. I'm sorry, guys. I'm kind of like a one-hit wonder, I guess. What can I say? Actually, no, that's right. Biggie just types me up. Lisa, tilt your screen up. Nope, she's gone. That was it. We saw her for a split second. Are you there, Lisa? Come in, Lisa.
I'm here now. Can you hear?
There she is. There she is. We'll get back to the cloud thing in a second, but I want Lisa to finish what she was talking about first.
Well, I was talking about the objective of corporations.
Yeah.
Sorry, birdie whistle. The objective of a corporation is to improve its profits every quarter. And if the objective was changed to, say, reducing the cost of its product or service every quarter, and to lessening its impact on the environment every quarter, if that became its objective, but it can't as long as it has shareholders. And this is where we as the individuals, we as the public, need to put our money where our mouth is. Because I've had so many conversations with people who claim to be, quote unquote, spiritual, and claim to have this incredibly beautiful vision of the world that we're trying to create here. But they're heavily invested in shares. This is where it comes to us. It is about putting our money where our mouth is. We do have the power to make change. And if everybody who had a share in an oil company sold their shares, pulled out, where does that leave that? Where does it leave it? Don't just stand around bitching about the gas companies and fracking and whatever. If you've got shares in something that's related to it, as long as we make change, we create change, we force change all day, every day. I mean, look at the major supermarket chains and how most of them now stock organic products because people demanded it. People stopped buying their fruit and veggies from the big chain supermarkets. It went back to their local greengrocer. So now they have to do it. We vote, we create change every day with our money. And we cannot expect change from corporations as long as we as individuals are shareholders in them.
Yeah.
And if you have shares in a company and you want to see the world a different place and you hate the corporatization of the world, then you have to ask yourself the question. That's really loud typing, AD.
I'm very sorry, guys. I just had to type a quick message into someone. I'm sorry. I'm taking my fingers off the keyboard. I'm sorry.
You're really dark when you sit back there too.
I'm sitting in that little back room because at least I can smoke in here and not be out in the wind because the wind is so noisy right now on the microphone that it sounds like I'm standing in the middle of a hurricane. So yeah, unfortunately, there's one of these horrible little energy efficient toxic light bulbs, and that's the only thing I have in here. Yes, I know I'm really dark. I could light a candle, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'll just have another cigarette, and you can, watch me from the glow of my ambers.
But you look lovely anyway, so
oh, why? Thank you, darling. Thank you, darling. I didn't brush my hair. This is just called. It's called. Oh, we're playing like that's. I have to tell you, that was the joke. The only reason I got to the show on time was because Quinlan turned to me and went, "Mommy, don't you have a show tonight?" I'm like, "Yeah. It's at 9:00." She goes, "Okay, it's like 4 minutes to 9, right?" It's like, no. I thought it was like 7:30, 8:00. Yeah, no, apparently not. So.
But I think it's
I even have my pajama pants.
to corporations and off your hair for a second.
Yeah, I'll shut up now.
Yeah, we need to start putting our money where our mouth is and walking our talk, because
absolutely. But here's the
part of the problem
about it. Like, what I don't understand is these people who even hold on to these stocks thinking they actually have any meaning. These stocks have no meaning. They're all empty. They're based on nothing. So anyone who's actually invested in these stocks I don't get it. I honestly don't. But yeah, I agree with you. It's time for people to, walk the walk their talk.
We've talked about this in a lot of different areas of our lives.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've touched on it quite like that before with shares in corps. And that includes the banks. I mean, a lot of people have bank shares as well.
Yeah.
You know, and
pharmaceutical shares.
Yeah. And the idea that we can, or some people don't even know where their money's going. You know, they put it into an investment fund and they've got no idea where it's going.
Yep. The vast majority of people of the public who invest in one of these big investment fund type things have no clue. They get told, oh, invest in this one over here because it's making X percent a year. And they go, okay, they're the smart guys. They know what to do with this. And then they walk away. And they have no idea that these guys are investing in, Novartis, who's making flu vaccines and selling them to the American government for $1.1 billion last quarter. Which, okay, great. If you want to make money because Novartis, sold $1.1 billion worth of flu vaccine to the American government last quarter, okay. But you know what? If you know what those flu vaccines do, can you live with that? I can't. Actually, I'm going to give you a really good example, and we're not going to use names. I had a conversation with someone last year. Someone who is especially gifted in a certain aspect of data. And he did a lot of work with hedge funds. And he made a lot of money. And we got into this one evening, we got into a huge, Nick and I and him, we got into a massive, oh God, we were up until like 4 o'clock in the morning talking. And this is a guy who professes to be very awake, who very, as you say, spiritual, if you will, who in all the conversation we had, he knows all about the finance stuff. He knows where money comes from. He knows what fiat currency is. He understands about value and all the rest of it. And when Nick made a comment to him about, but like you just said to me a couple of days ago that you made like, several million euros last year in the work that you did with the hedge funds. Like, do you not see how you are directly contributing to this? And his response was literally, no, it's okay because I donate to charities. So I give a percentage of all the money I make to charity. And that was his response. Even though, like I said, and knowing
guilt appeasement.
Well, it is, isn't it? It's guilt appeasement. Well, I made, X many million euros last year, but you know what? And I know I made it through hedge funds and I made it on the backs of crumbling economies and people who've lost their houses and people who've lost their jobs and people who are suffering greatly. But I'm going to appease my conscience because I'm going to give some money to charity, and that's how I'm making the world a better place, which is a crock of shit. And I did. I called him on it. I was just like, that's such a crock of shit. And he got obviously not very happy with me for that. But hey, that's me.
There are certainly small mum and dad kind of operations or people looking for startup capital that you could invest in. who are doing good work, who are doing environmentally friendly work, who are creating really health promoting products. I mean, there's lots of places you could put your money instead.
Yeah. Well, and this is what I mean.
To make money and profit.
Exactly.
But we can't talk about a moneyless society. We can't talk about equality. We can't talk about all those things as long as the majority of us are still participating. We are the ones we've been waiting for, as we keep saying. So we are the ones that need to make the changes. It's not going to happen from now.
Well, you know what it is that's true. I mean, I kind of disagree because I think it is happening.
Yes,
will happen. But yes, no, you're absolutely right. This is the whole thing. If how many people do you and I know personally who in the last 2 years quit their jobs because they got to a point where they just saw what they were doing, what their job entailed, what their job
many.
And because they just sat there and went like, oh my God, I'm so paying into the system. Not just i.e. taxes, but I mean doing things like working for hedge funds, doing things like working for the stock exchange or traders or the legal departments in corporations and things. I know two people who they had really, really good paying jobs working for mega corporations in the legal department. And they quit because all of a sudden they just had that moment of like, oh my God, I can't be here anymore. I can't keep doing this. I'm part of the problem.
Yep. I wonder how many people are just pissed off. I'm not trying to. I'm not meaning to, but I think these are things that we all need to have a look at. How are we supporting the things that we say we don't want? And we could, honestly, if we all work together, we could bring down a corporation at a time, one by one by one, by simply withdrawing our energy from it in whatever form that takes, whether it's buying their services and products, selling our shares.
Well, here's the thing. In this, what you said, what was that?
Sorry. Get this. I found out the other day.
Yes.
And this is to all the Australians listening. 30 to 40 cents of every dollar an Australian spends ends up in the hands of Coles and or Woolies. These are two supposedly supermarket chains. But it's because they have embedded themselves in every area of our lives. They own petrol stations. They own communication or have shares in communication companies. They've got shares or outright own pretty much all of the areas that are necessities for our lives. Insurance and transport, everything. 30 to 40 cents of every dollar you spend. And I mean, they're perceived as opposition, but they're not. They're totally holding hands things. And it's so easily fixed. It's so easily fixed.
Yeah.
But we've gotten so used to the convenience, and they're so embedded in our lives that it does require some thought and perhaps even some research about it. Who does own that local petrol station that you go to all the time? Where's that money going? Is there a solo-owned independent service station that might be a couple more k's away, but you could go to instead?
Yeah.
Is there a local greengrocer or a local whatever, or shop online with some of these other companies that? There's a girlfriend of mine who I've just spent some time with who works for a company called Malaluka, and the way she approaches that business is to, in fact, encourage people to get out of Coles and Woolies and buy very eco-friendly products that you just shop online and gets delivered to your door, and it's either equal to or cheaper than buying.
Yeah.
So there are ways of making an impact, and if enough of us do it, change. They have to adapt.
Yep. Well, I'll give you an example. And I mean, Lisa, you'll appreciate this because I mean, you were here in Morocco with us, right?
Mm-hmm.
25 years ago, I lived in Toronto. I lived in downtown Toronto. Well, west downtown Toronto, in an area called the Bloor West Village. And literally 25 years ago, it was like a village got dropped down right in the heart of Toronto. It was very Eastern European, and it was all little tiny shops along the main street there. And it was butchers and bakers, and there were cheesemakers. There was a little fish market. There was greengrocers. There were all these little shops, little cafes. They were all independently owned. And every Saturday, like literally every Saturday, it was like my excitement was to get up and like, I'm going to go do some grocery shopping. And it meant there was like a grocery store just down the street that was like a no frills, basic, where you'd go and you'd buy your toilet paper, your paper towel, your laundry soap. But then we would spend the rest of the day and you'd go to the butcher and then you'd go to the baker. And you know what? There's a lot of people, I get it, people don't have the time. But in the end run, one of the things that I love where I am right now, when we need groceries, because we're kind of off where we're living right now, we're kind of off to the side. We're not really in a town. But it is a 10-minute bus ride to get into Middig, Rincon. And we go in there, and there's a really great souk, which is a market. And you have butchers, and you have the bakeries, and you've got guys who've got just their little grocery shops. And the grocery shops are just these, I mean, most of the stores are no more than about 3 meters by 3 meters, and every single centimeter is full of jars of jam or bags of flour or all of these things. And I absolutely love going shopping because we have our guys who know us. And I go into my little vegetable guy, and we have an ongoing game where I speak to him in my terrible Arabic and my even worse French, and he speaks back at me like in his broken Spanish and his broken English, and we go through. But they know us, and I know that when I go to my vegetable guy and buy those vegetables, yeah, he's got a couple of import things that he brings in, like really nice mushrooms once a week he'll bring in, or broccoli, which is not in season in Morocco right now. But for the most part, I know that when I go to him and I buy my groceries, my fruits and vegetables, that the orange trees come right from his family's garden. And the peas and the beans come from the next door neighbor's family's garden. And I know that when I go to the butcher, it's a family business, and I'm dealing with a family, and I'm dealing with people, real people. And that I know that when I give my money to them to buy a chicken, or to buy some meat for our dog, I'm actually supporting that community and that family to work within that community, and it makes all the difference in the world. I love it because it really, you feel good when you know that you're buying, first of all, you're buying really good quality food, but second of all, when I buy my bread from the little woman who bakes the bread fresh herself every freaking morning, I know that my 1.5 dirham a loaf that I'm paying her is going directly into her pocket. There's no middleman. None. She's being paid directly for the bread that she bakes that I love. That's it. Now here you get a lot of the big companies have really come into Morocco lately. So we have, like, for if you get yogurt, you get Dani yogurt, which of course is owned by Coca-Cola, which is of course one of your mega corporations. And when we were in Ousham, I convinced the guy in the little store in Ousham to start supplying, instead of bringing Danone in, to bring the local made Moroccan yogurt, which was really good. we got here, the first thing I did with our little shop down the store was convince the guy there to not bring in the Danone yogurt and to bring in the locally made Moroccan brands. No, it's still a corporation, but instead of being a mega corporation, at least it's local. And, you know, same thing. I buy the local coffee. I don't go and buy the import coffee. I buy local coffee. These are easy decisions to make. It really, and if you go to a shop, a lot of times if you go into a shop and you say to them, hey, I would really like to see this, these people will work with you because they want to sell to you. So if you tell them what you want, i.e. local baked goods or whatever it is, you never know until you try. You may be able to convince these guys to start stocking local items.
Yeah, I agree. And the impersonalization of these big chain supermarkets and the malls and all of that. I mean, it's just yet another area where personal relationships have been removed from our lives. I mean, the internet's an amazing thing and it's connected us all in incredible ways. But there's a disconnect there still.
Oh, huge.
And getting together with community in whatever way, shape or form is being slowly but surely removed from our lives. I mean, we talk about it all the time. How many people know their neighbours, all that sort of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, these are all things that I think we need to start just asking ourselves.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's lots of things that we can do. It just takes sometimes it just takes people to think about it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, sometimes some of the decisions are just easy ones. They're just easy ones. I would rather buy my eggs from the local guy here, who I know they come right from his chickens that are running around his yard, than to go to the grocery store, Marjan, which is like the equivalent, the Moroccan equivalent of Walmart, is a store here called Marjan. I can go there and I can buy all this stuff. I can buy all that stuff there. I absolutely refuse. So I go to Marjan. The only things I buy when I go there are things like toilet paper and paper towel or shampoo, that kind of stuff. That's the only stuff I buy there. And I go once a month. That's it. Just to pick up those type of things because I don't like it. I don't like dealing with these big box stores. I'd much rather go to the little grocery guy down the street who only has one brand of peanut butter. But you know what? I like that brand because I'm the one who told him which brand I would like him to bring in, and he does. Because I asked.
Okay, we've only got a few minutes left. Is there anything else that you feel we need to cover off today?
I don't know. I've been kind of like soapboxing a lot tonight, so.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I just did that too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we all. Yeah, I'm long-winded. We all know that. Brian and I, it's kind of a competition about which of us can talk longer. So.
Well, I'll give you a heads up. There's
Yes.
a line of research that I've been following for the last month or so.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. And I've had to question myself. I'm going to just start doing interviews on this as of next week. And
Okay.
People who are popping up out of the woodwork on this subject is incredible. But just to give you a hint, if this is true, I believe it is the single biggest conspiracy of them all. It's the biggest psyop of our consciousness and hijacking of our consciousness.
Well, okay, and you saved this till 11 minutes from the end of the show?
I wasn't going to bring it up at all, but the reason I'm bringing it up is because I've really had to question whether or not it's just yet another distraction, right? And follow that line of thinking. But the more I feel into this, the more I feel like, I mean, okay, I've believed for a while that part of this is we have to get to the truth about who we are, where we come from, our history, our everything. It has to come out. It's part of our healing process. And if this is what it looks like, then when I follow the trail, it feels like it actually brings us back to ourselves and not another distraction away from ourselves. And that's why I'm pursuing it, because it comes full circle.
And you're not going to give us any more information than that, are you?
No, because
I'll talk to you after this show.
it's the biggest face palming subject ever, right? If you bring it up, but people just they laugh at you, right? It's because it's ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous to contemplate. Couldn't possibly be true, because the implications are so big, and the cognitive dissonance on this subject is the greatest I personally have felt. And it's, of all the things, I mean, oh yeah, okay, you can call me a conspiracy theorist, whatever. And of all the things I've had to question in my life, or had to look at, this is the one thing that I never thought I would have to. It's not even a question, never been a question before. And yet it's smacking me up the side of the head so badly. And people will probably laugh their asses off when this first interview comes out, because I can't believe she's even having this conversation. But it needs to be looked at.
Okay, well, I definitely need more information. And Big piping in his 2 cents, going, "Oh, how could you do this at the very end of the show? We need more information."
He's saying, "I want to know."
I know you. You did this on purpose.
Well, you'll find out next week.
Stay tuned for next week. Same bad time, same bad channel.
All right, I'm going to say goodbye now.
Okay.
Thank you to everybody who tuned in, and we do apologize for my computer just would not play at all. Everything just kept crashing repeatedly, and I couldn't get online. I couldn't get up and running. So I do apologize for the late start. Thanks for being with us.
Same thing with my internet stick. I had to go, I think it was about 5 different attempts before I finally got my internet on, which is the other reason why we were late, because there was just no one who had any internet. Just for Biggie, who was sitting there going, "Bye now."
And we will make our apologies for Bali Belly Brian too. So hopefully he'll be better for tomorrow. Oh, and not tomorrow, next week.
Next week.
So, again, just to recap, if you think you can help coordinate a massive global effort for
a whole global movement, yes.
Yes, a whole global movement, please send an email to ccn at unseen, unseen.is, to address to Mel or Biggie, and volunteer your services. Would be awesome. And yeah, I think probably the British embassies everywhere is a great, unless Mel's got a better idea. I mean, that's a pretty good suggestion.
As they say, like, they are global. They're in every country of the world. I mean, maybe not in North Korea, but since I'm pretty sure our show doesn't get to North Korea, I have a feeling we're one of those shows that just doesn't get through their internet firewall. Yeah, this was a great evening. This was a lot of fun. I mean, poor Brian, who's curled up in a ball somewhere right now. Other than that, I mean, it was a fun show tonight.
Yeah, good talking to you again.
Well, because it's not like we don't play Skype tag like all week long.
All week long.
I hate time zones. I officially am done with time zones. I just want to say this. I've got another friend of ours. It's literally, we play Skype tag. Sometimes it takes us 4 days to be able to get through to each other because that's time zones. I hate them. I'll put myself off with them on.
All right, darling. I will talk to you probably very soon.
Yes, yes. And everyone else out there in RV land, hold fast. It's coming.
It's Tuesday.
No! Oh my God!
Tuesday today.
No, dude, I just gave the rate. You can't give the date. It's a rule. I'm gonna get slaughtered. I'm gonna have like Rod calling me saying, Blondie, did you give a date too?
No, you didn't. I did.
Yeah, no, I'll just say it's at least.
It was Tuesday today. It is for me.
Oh, well, it's Tuesday for you. It's Monday for us.
The joke has always been, you know, yeah, next Tuesday, but it's Tuesday today.
Yeah, well, there you go. Okay, Dawn. Well, everyone, we'll talk to you all later next week. Bye.